Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So previously we looked at album art and if it can help and hinder the sales and impressions of an album, and we also looked at part 2 of that, which was if AI album art would help the industry or if it could hurt the industry. So we're going to be moving on today to a actual album review. And coming up, we've also got, I think it's episode 22 or 23 of the 6-song roundup. We've got a couple discussion pieces coming up after this. We've got two more album reviews, being, I believe it is Spite, Dedication to Flesh, and Hardy, the Mockingbird and the Crow. So we're going to be doing a country rock album. So that one might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I've been quite into Hardy as of late. So there is that. I'm just going to alter this camera angle a bit a minute. There we go. I was looking at the roof. And as well as these two album reviews, the discussion pieces, and the 6-song roundups, I'm also going to start doing, similar to back in 2022, where I did a 2-track EP review. Not 2-track EP, but like double EP review. So like I would pick out 2 EPs that are between 3 to like 9 songs, I think is what equates an EP. But it's like anything that doesn't go over like 40 minutes, I think. So like 35 lower is an EP. So I'm going to be doing some of those where, you know, maybe I'll do like 2 EPs in a video. So we'll have like maybe a shorter EP and a longer EP. Maybe I'll do 2 longer EPs or 2 shorter EPs. If they're too short, it's going to be a really short video, I might cram a few more in there. Not sure yet. So yeah, so you got that to look forward to. Got a couple cool videos coming in the works. But anyway, this is what you're here for. This is Bleed From Within Shrine. So, who are Bleed From Within? Well, Bleed From Within are a Scottish metal band hailing from Glasgow, and they were formed all the way back in 2005. Currently, they consist of vocalist Scott Kennedy, drummer Ali Richardson, bassist Davey Provan, I think that's how you say his name, and lead guitarist Craig Gowans, and rhythm guitarist and clean vocalist Stephen Snev Jones. The band has released 6 full studio albums and 3 EPs so far in their tenure, which are In the Eyes of the Forgotten, which was their first EP back in 2006. And then we have Welcome to the Plague Year, EP 2007. We have the Humanity album from 2009, Empire album from 2010, Uprising album from 2013, Death Walks EP from 2014, Era album from 2018, Fracture album from 2020, and then Shrine, which came out in the year of 2022 and is a full album. Currently, a little bit of information, they are signed to Nuclear Blast Records, which, as many of you fans of the metal genre will know, they have some very eclectic tastes in sounds, and they have very good bands from all across the world. And this album currently, Shrine, has a runtime of just about 47 minutes with 12 songs, and we start with track number 1. I Am Damnation. This runs for about 4 minutes and 42 seconds. So, we build slowly with the vocals fading in before swelling into full view. The guitars and drums are clean and crisp in the ear, and the vocals are clear, but not like taking away from the heaviness of it. So like they're equally heavy, but you can also understand what he's saying, whereas some like vocalists still slur and sludge and to get that heavier sound and make it a bit more visceral. The singer for here manages to do that without compromising the pronunciation. And there's some semi-clean intervals which add in extra effect. Very good opening track. I didn't have too much to say on it, but you know, for what it serves as the opener of an album, it definitely pulled that weight. And I think there was worse ones you could have chosen, but there might have been some stronger songs on the album that might have been better as like a starter. But doesn't take away from the fact that it was still a solid song. Moving on, we have track 2, which is Sovereign, and this runs for 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So this track goes hard from start to finish. Vocals are phenomenal, power and grit with great pronunciation still. Similar, like the vibe of the vocals between the mixture of the pronunciation, the delivery, the cleans, the way that the vocalists gel together in the cleans and the heavier side, it all reminds me very much of While She Sleeps, which is another brilliant UK band. We see a sexy fucking solo near the tail end of this, and I especially liked the lines, "They said to bide my time, so I fall in line and turn a blind eye to the crimes of late, then rob of all that could separate from the world outside and the powers that be. Make no mistake, it is a sovereign state," which is like the chorus, but it just kind of was very vibey. It was delivered so much better in the song than what I could do, and it kind of just shows throughout this whole album they have solid choruses that command control when they hit, and that is showcased from the start. Moving on, we have track number 3, which is Levitate, and that is 4 minutes and 30 seconds. This track's chorus is easily the most catchy. It's a real sing-along feel vibe for a heavy song. The guitars bounce along with little flourishes here and there, which are accompanied by the drums very well, especially in the instrumental break. That shines a light on all of the people like doing the instrumental work. You can hear every little bit of it just playing their piece, and it's so good. And that is just before like the breakdown, which rolls into a chorus outro. And the chorus is what I was saying earlier, is very catchy and showing like one of their strong suits, that they're really good at choruses, which this is I wrap my head around this to know that you exist. We levitate to find bliss outside of this abyss. Delicate minds limit the time that we have left. And like I said, once you've heard that chorus once or twice, it gets stuck in your fucking head and you'll find yourself sitting there and it'll just pop in. It's like a proper fucking melodic metal earworm is the best way to describe it. Track 4, Flesh and Stone, 4 minutes 10. Again, this has a very melodic open into a heavy grooving vocal, which gives way into more melodic semi-cleans, where the drums blast and the guitars just glide around too. And later there's a short-lived choir, I believe I heard at one point right near the tail end, which may or may not have had some violins in there, I think, as well, like, which is how they ended out the song. It was very well put together. Like I said, I wasn't 100% sure if I did hear violins. I'm certain I heard a fucking choir, but yeah. Moving on, we have track number 5, and this is Invisible Enemy, 4 minutes and 2 seconds. So this has big grooving energy. The vocals in this song remind me of Ire era Parkway Drive a little bit, with more cleanish choruses. Um, some great drum patterns and drum beats here throughout, and everything just gels so well. The chorus of Invisible Enemy, You Will Always Be a Part of Me, I tried to hide what's inside, but you always win, I'm digging into despair. It just kind of has a very visceral sense to it that you can kind of see the underlying, what I would say is the underlying message of like the invisible enemy always being a part of you, you know, digging into despair. It kind of serves as like maybe like a mental health sort of thing, which is kind of the way I took it. Obviously, everybody else will have their own interpretation of the lyrics and what this invisible enemy that could always being a part of you would be and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very well done. Track 6, Sky, 55 seconds. Short instrumental interval, which is a very symphonic feel, violins, a very light piano paired with some drums before it casts off into track number 7, which is Stand Down, 4 minutes and 6 seconds, which starts straight away with a ferocity that grooves its way through the track and delivers a scathing outlook on people who spread misinformation and act upon it. Being a quote from the song, I see this army of the ill-informed, out for blood, out for war. Born innocent, adopted ignorance, you've got nothing to say to me, stand down, which is followed by, it's a catastrophe, we saw it coming, blind to the logic, dying to disprove it, we're fighting fire with fire, stand down. Which, again, in the year of the 2020s, we've had a lot of people, you know, spreading misinformation, things going awry in the world that have caused outroar and... Oh, I dropped my fucking microphone, you know, and just things like that. So it's a bit of a relevant song for 2022 when it came out. Obviously, as the years progress, it might lose its relevancy. I don't know. It could gain more relevancy. You know, we don't know how the future goes. We don't know if misinformation and people acting upon misinformation is going to become a more prevalent thing or not. So, yeah, it's one of those kind of midfield, unsure on, like, it's a good song, but will it still be holding up to its standard, say in 2032 or whatever the fuck, you know, like. Moving on, we have track 8, Death Defined, which is 4 minutes and 1 second, and the bangers keep on rolling here, and so do the grooves. With chuggy, bouncy guitars and solid drum work as the vocals perform very well over it, with lines like, does death define or do I live with this curse? God forbid I make it worse. Give me a sign, will I find peace in the end? And what have we left to defend? Being one of two standout lines for me, the second being, eradication of the ancient faith. The truth is now as clear as day. Eradication, Empyrean. The truth is now as clear as day in the shadow of sanctuary. Apologies for struggling to read that there. It was rather late when I wrote this, and my hand was getting quite sore. My pen that I write with is solid metal, and it gets a little uncomfortable for long periods of time, so right around there is where it was like starting to go scroll. But as you can see, those are just two of the lines that I picked out in the song, whereas it has some other really standout points, or not points, but like lyrics. But I just picked up two of my favourites because I don't want to go bogging down one or two songs with like multiple sets of lyrics me picking out to showcase you. Anyway, moving on, we have track number 9, which is Shapeshifter, and this runs for about 4 minutes and 26 seconds. And this track fucking slaps. It burns its way into your brain with this fast-paced delivery, instrumental as well that keeps pace equally as well. And lines like, "The silence now depleted, there's no room to fail, I'll take what's mine and slay the rest," as well as, "Feed on the pulse of the innocent, but preach integrity, sharpen your teeth and prepare to feed," being, again, two of the most specific parts that really stood out to me near the tail end of the track. But again, there's points throughout the entire song where I was like, "Oh, that's a good line. That could really be a good one to highlight." Or then I would hear another one and I was like, "No, I want to highlight that one." Then I'd hear the other one and I'd be like, "No, I want to highlight that one." So I do think Shapeshifter is one of the strongest tracks on there. But yeah, you have to really listen to it yourself to see what I mean. Moving on, we are now at the home stretch. We have the final 3 tracks. And number 10 is Temple of Lunacy, 4 minutes 28. Again, we have a fast, furious pacing and delivery with some stellar cleans in some parts after lines like, "Psychosomatic, I fight the fear of death, silhouettes are descending around me, I can't deliver what the world expects of me, I crumble under the weight," being a great part of the whole song's vibe. Moving on, we have track 11, Killing Time, 4 minutes and 23 seconds. And we start with a swelling build into the song, and the drum work is possibly my favourite part of this entire song. The clean delivery parts as well really stood out to me. The second most in this particular song, honestly. But again, very strong showing on this track. Very great drum work, vocal work. Like I said, the lyrics were good. Definitely recommend going and looking through all the lyrics to this album, because they do have some good ones that even I didn't showcase. But this band, again, people like this band, Architects, I know their newest album, not everyone's been gelling with it. Bring Me the Horizon, again, their newer stuff, not everyone gels with it. You've got people like Our Hollow, Our Home, who are currently going through a bit of a lineup change. But it's bands like this that come from the UK that kind of make you proud to be part of like the UK community or the scene, and like seeing these guys get big, like similar with While She Sleeps and Ocean's 8 Alaska, because they're from UK as well, and then stuff like that. It all just kind of is like, you see them getting big, you see them getting the recognition, getting the play, getting put on Facebook, and like people being like, great album, can't wait to hear your next one, keep up the good work. And you're like, it's nice to see. But anyway, track number 12 here now. The final one is Paradise, 4 minutes and 32 seconds, I believe. So the final track is upon us. Opens with tinkling piano keys and oh sort of vocals surfing into play. And it kind of like uses that to frame the verse. And the verses are solid as hell as well. But the layered, clean, harsh vocal split chorus was perfectly done. Like, you can kind of make out both of them. Neither overpowers the other. It is very much, both in command at the same time. You can hear what they're both saying. You can make them both out very well. And it is superb. We all suffer the same. We all suffer the pain. Release me. I bathe in waves of absence. In a sea of misery. Are we led to the grave? Are we destined to fade in sickness? Your paradise was mine. All neatly wraps up with its grand final track. And the final track is one of the best on there. So, what are my final thoughts? Overall, this is a very solid album. The production is great, the vocals are superbly done, and they don't oversaturate with cleans or heavies. They both have their time to shine. You know, and like I said, they don't use the same delivery tone for either vocal either, which is a good, like, each song has its own feel. It's not all like blending into one like some albums can do. I give this album a very solid 9.5 out of 10, which is quite generous. I know I'm always very generous with my ratings, but I think I've only ever actually reviewed one album so far I was not a fan of. So, why have I only given it 9.5? What is my issue with it? Well, frankly, it is me nitpicking. I would have liked the instrumental to be a little longer than 55 seconds. Now, I know this is a controversial bit, because not everybody likes instrumental like breaks in their songs. I know some albums, even I have said I don't like instrumental breaks in there because it just ruins the flow of the album. But this one, it took the flow of the album and carried it from point A to point B seamlessly. But I think you also could have done that, making it 1minute and 55 seconds, like, instrumental interlude instead of just 55 seconds, because your drummers, your guitarists, your rhythm guitarists, all of that lot are fucking great. They're stellar. So just giving them that little extra time to shine without having the vocalists there would have just been a little extra nod and a tip of the cap to them. That's all. That is my only problem, and my only kind of like improvement or adjustment I would have said. So, to wrap this up, what are my final four, my top four, my favourite four, whatever you want to call it? So, in no particular order, all four of these are just my favourite tracks off of the album. I would say we have Levitate, because of the catchy chorus. Paradise, because it's just such a great fucking finale. Stand Down, because of its catchiness and the aggression in it. And finally, Shapeshifter, because it's just such a well-crafted fucking track. I think if you listen to these four, it would give you a very solid overview of the entire 12-track album's vibe throughout, from start to finish. And if you don't like one of these, you might like others. But if you don't like any of them, you probably aren't going to gel with this album as a whole. With that being said, I will see you in the next video, which I believe is the 6-song roundup episode 22. So I will be working on that and getting that up for you within the next few weeks. So with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. And remember to stay safe out there, my friends. Goodbye.